Welcome to the Combatcast with a man called Dave Chevarooney. And before we talk to you about today's fights, next week's fights, we're going to give you a little video. And it starts about now. Are you a fan of pro wrestling, comedy, and combat sports? Then we have the podcast for you because we cover that and much, much more.
Do you like to debate with your friends? Do we have the perfect segment for you? It's the 531, where we take any given subject, break it down to a top 5. From there, we debate it down to 3, and then into that number 1 spot.
If you want to get a hold of us, find us on our social medias. Search Working Fans Podcast on any major social media platform. And if you want to find the podcast, search for us on any major podcast platform, as well as YouTube.
Working Fans Podcast. We put in the work so you don't have to.
All right, everybody, we're ready to talk some fights. But before we get into last week's fights, Chevarooney, tell me what we got coming up.
All right, July 2nd is going to be International Fight Week. That's UFC 276 Adesanya versus Cannonier. The co-main event on that card is Holloway versus Volkanovski 3, so we're all super hyped for that one. Then we're going to have July 9th, we'll be previewing UFC Fight Night, Rafael Dos Anjos versus Rafael Fiziev. That should be a great fight. Two very evenly matched stand-up guys. So then July 16th, we got UFC Fight Night, Ortega versus Yair Rodriguez. That's another great matchup.
Yeah, that's going to be the shit right there. I am very excited for that fight. Yair constantly showing improvement. Ortega always improving too. And they're typically in the top 4. I mean, basically, it's like Holloway and Volkanovski, and then Ortega, I consider the next best right automatically. But I feel like Yair is like right there, too. Like, I feel like he is legit probably the number 4 guy.
Yeah, I'm really hoping that Brian, I like both guys. I like Yair a little bit less these days due to his out-of-the-ring stuff, but I'm really hoping that Brian goes back to his roots with his jiu-jitsu. He's been kind of falling in love with his striking lately. This isn't the guy that he wants to strike with. He's going to get pieced up. So I think on the ground, he has a huge advantage. So hopefully he tries to take it there.
Yeah, I think he's the guy that he could probably hang a little bit with the striking with Yair, but I don't think you don't want to do that.
That's not the way. That's not the easiest path to victory.
No, you're going to make it difficult. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Mix it up. All right, let's talk about last week's fights. And before we even get into like the main card, the fucking prelims on this
whole
show,
card was phenomenal.
It was crazy. Like I was getting home late and I'm hearing finish. Like Cody Stamen, TKO on Eddie Wineland first round. I mean, I think Eddie Wineland tired. Yeah. So bantamweight action. Phil Hawes, Deron Wynn. TKO, poor Deron Wynn. He's struggling right now. Roman Dozozide, he got a finish. I'm just looking at some of the finishes here. Ricardo Ramos, spinning back elbow.
Yeah, that was dirty.
Was it dirty?
Not dirty as in cheating, but dirty as in that shit was amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, I got you. Sorry, dog. Jeremiah Wells, KO'd Court McGee. Court's been around for a while. So those were all just on the prelims. And then I want to talk this first one at a catchweight here. Adrian Yanez versus Tony Kelly. Adrian Yanez. This was not on my radar at all. Oh my God, this guy. I love the way he was striking in this. I thought he was fantastic.
Oh, he's looked amazing lately.
Yeah. Just want to see out of curiosity, what does Adrian Yanez do? He's 16-3. Oh man, looks like it's been a while since he's lost too. He's like on a 8-9 fight win streak or something here.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So yeah.
It wasn't that long ago that Sean O'Malley called Yanez out. So I know that Giannis said he'd like to get that fight next, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think O'Malley's too far ahead of him. Obviously, I think he has a fight against Pedro Munoz. So
Sure.
I think Giannis is going to have to fight somebody else first, like Frankie Edgar or Ricky Simone or something. And then depending on where Shane ends up after his fight, maybe they can fight. But I think that's a great matchup striking wise between them.
Yeah, I love the style of that fight. But yeah, I think you're right. Especially if O'Malley loses this weekend. I don't know, not this weekend, but I think it's on the pay-per-view coming up though. But
probably
if O'Malley loses like that fight, then maybe he's got a shot at that fight. But if O'Malley wins,
he's only going up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Gregory Rodriguez, he knocked out one of our favorites, Julian Marquez, TKO, middleweight. Whew. Rodriguez looked impressive here.
Yeah, he's so powerful. He's this great jiu-jitsu wizard, but he's stand-up. He's just so powerful with his punches. So I think he's a problem in the division for sure. Maybe he fights like a Chris Weidman or a Tavares next or something like that.
Damir Ismagulov, he got a victory. This was one of those fights that went decision. I won't comment too much on this because we're trying to get to a lot of stuff here this weekend. So I'll go right into Joaquin Buckley. I thought this was a really good performance from him against a guy, Albert Duov, who I thought looked dangerous going into this fight for him with a wrestling and everything. And Buckley gets the TKO doctor stoppage.
Yeah, he fucked up his eye. I think it was a second round stoppage. So good for him. Maybe he gets a top 15 guy next, a Shabazian or something like that.
That'd be a good one. And then we got welterweight. This was one we were excited about. Kevin Holland versus Tim Means. Darshchoke, round 2, one of your favorite submissions. Holland, I thought, though, this was the most serious-looking performance I've ever seen out of him in terms of his striking, in terms of his submission on the ground. Like, Tim Means is a guy that if he took lightly, especially, even if he didn't take lightly, he's been a veteran, he's been around. Tim puts on some good performances, and he knows the way around there. And I thought, okay, this is not a layup at all. But Holland just looked like on another level. He looked like he was more serious, like I said, than I've ever seen him before. Great performance. Super impressed with Holland. This is that kind of performance where I'm looking at him and I go, this guy could be a champion someday.
Yeah, he is rounding out his game, putting it all together. Yeah, I thought Tim Means was going to pose much more of a problem, but he didn't. And we have been seeing a lot of Darces lately. Always glad to see another one. So good on that. I saw Holland calling out Nate Diaz online. Maybe Holland's mouth is big enough to get him that fight. I think Nate would. Online, anyway, he says he wants to fight anyone he can to just get out of his contract. So that's a fight I'd like to see for sure. I think that's a good matchup.
Yeah, I do. I agree too. Definitely, I really like that matchup for Holland. But it's not like stylistically, that's the kind of fight for Nate, someone who's going to strike, and it's not like Holland's jiu-jitsu is necessarily going to be better than Nate Diaz.
No, definitely not.
Yeah, so, stylistically, it's an interesting fight for Nate too. Unless the UFC is just looking to make sure, Nate doesn't get a win. I'm not saying that Nate will beat Holland. I actually favor Holland, but it's a fight that Nate maybe could pull off. Whereas I sometimes I wonder if UFC's like, yeah, you got Hussman.
Yeah, but I feel like Nate's not gonna. He doesn't want to take a fight that's a guaranteed loss. So right. I think that's what the holdup is. Really, he keeps saying he'll fight whoever, but
he wants someone that's going to stylistically at least kind of try to bring it to him on the feet. That's Holland though. Holland probably would do that. So.
Right.
And then final main event: Josh Emmett versus Calvin Kattar. My life was taking its toll on me here. I was getting a little tired by this point. I had passed out, but it got fighting tonight. So big win for Josh Emmett. What did you think?
Super close, split decision. I saw a lot of people were upset with the decision. I could see it going either way, but I think this probably was called the right way. I thought even though Emmett's face looked all beat up, he really landed the heavier shots on Kattar. Every time he hit him, he was literally moving Cater around the ring. So, good for Josh Emmett. I think he probably fights the loser of the Ortega and Yair fight, and then maybe Cater can fight like I don't know, Bryce Mitchell or something like that, or get a Korean Zombie last fight or something. He'll be back. It was a tough fight. It was really close. His head movement, I don't think, was there. He just didn't look like he was on his best game that night.
Yeah. And for parts I saw before I passed out, Emmett to me just looked like he had the more effective power shots, which is kind of something I saw going. Like Emmett just had more strength, and stylistically, he seemed like a tough matchup for Cater in that regard. But I mean, Cater, like he had his jab going and everything like that, but maybe it's just also not visually as impressive to the judges in that situation. Too.
I saw, I can't remember who I was listening to now, but as somebody was talking about if Cater had incorporated some leg kicks, that would have helped keep Emmett off of him and reduced his power. So that might have been a good game plan, but we don't see Cater doing the leg kicks too often, and I think he was worried about the takedown, so that might have been another reason why he wasn't implementing them.
Yeah, it might be time to incorporate that.
Yeah.
I often thought Cater is a really good boxer.
Right.
And, he incorporates some of the stuff you can't do in boxing, like elbows and the clinch and stuff like that. But, yeah, maybe round out that game a little bit more. And I'm sure they're not going to listen to me. Let's go on to this weekend's Fight Night Card. We're going to talk a little Bellator and PFL this week, too. But we also got another little segment we're going to do at the end. So let's get right to the more UFC action. We got this weekend kicking off the Fight Night Card. Chris Curtis. There's going to be a lot of names I struggle here with, Chevy. Rodolfo Vieira?
Rodolfo.
I like that. Let's go with that. Rodolfo Vieira, who has got so many jiu-jitsu titles when I'm looking at this. So
with
many.
A name like Rodolfo, yeah, he's a jiu-jitsu wizard.
He's had one performance of the night in the UFC. His grappling record. This is fucking ridiculous. Wait, what is his grappling record? It's like he's had 110 fights. This is insane. 68 submissions, 31 decisions in his win. Wow, man, 100 wins, only 9. This is a grappling machine. He's 8-1 overall MMA. He did get submitted in the UFC by an Anthony Hernandez. I feel like I remember hearing about that, and that was a big upset at the time because of the way
anyone can get caught,
Yeah. But yeah, he's coming off a victory. Rear naked choke, no surprise. 7 submission wins, including 1 KO in his career. He's taken on Chris Curtis. Chris Curtis is a guy who's been around for a while, had some fights in Bellator, PFL. He's 28-8. He's 2-0 in UFC, and he's capitalized. He's getting his chance, to fight now after having already, 30-something fights in the UFC, and he's doing well. He's taking advantage of it. He's looking impressive. So impressive, in fact, I'm going to say, unless this goes to the ground, I like him. I like him in this. I like his ability to stand up. I'm going to go with Curtis. I'm going to say he finishes him, too. I'm going to say round 2 TKO.
Yeah, I was actually thinking the same thing. I think it'll be a decision, but I think Curtis is going to use his experience. He's seen all the submissions in his 30-something fights. So I think he'll be safe enough, be able to get back to his feet if the fight gets taken down, and he'll win a decision.
I agree. I'm looking at this next guy's name here. Is another one, Umar Nurgamatov, who is 14-0. Looks like he's coming off of one you were saying too, with Brian Kellner. They're getting ready to take on Nate Maines. Nate Maines held plenty of regional titles. He's 14-1, 5 KOs, 3 subs, 6 decisions. I'm gonna go with Nurgamatov. Almost just by name alone. And plus, 14-0, never lost. I like this chances. I'll say decision.
I'm going to say he wins ground and pound round 2.
Not too much argument here. Not a lot of stuff on this card that I'm super interested in. Next, we had Thiago Moises versus Cristo Diagos. Let's see. Diagos is 19-9. He's got 7 knockouts, 4 decisions. Thiago's 15-6, 3 KOs, 6 subs, 6 decisions. Not a lot to go on here. I'll go with Thiago, second round TKO.
I think we're going to get a boring decision. I think it could go either way. I'm going to go with Thiago, though, but boring decision.
All right. Then we got Josh Parisian? Yeah, Josh Parisian, 14-5, 10 KOs, 2 subs, 2 decisions against Alan Badat. He's 8-3-1, 7 KOs, and 1 disqualification win. So all his wins have never gone to decision here. It looks like. Actually, no, I think that disqualification win was actually overturned by a promoter, which is very rare on regional circuit. So 8-3-1, 7 KOs. I don't know. The other guy's got more fights. I'll go with Allen. And I'll go decision this time. 3 rounds.
I'm going to go with Josh, first round KO. Heavyweights, you know?
This is true. Yeah, so this could be if it goes my way, it's going to be a boring decision. All right. Next fight. All right, I'm actually interested in this one at least. Neil Magni versus Shakova Rachmanov. I'm sorry I'm saying that one right, but Rachmanov.
All
right. He's 15-0. He's got 8 KOs and 7 subs. He's 3-0 in the UFC. This guy sounds very dangerous against Neil Magny. Now, Neil Magny, though, let's bring up some of this guy's credentials here. This guy's 26-8, 7 knockouts, 3 subs, 16 decisions. All right, so he's definitely a guy that will go decision. He wins by a lot of volume. He's tied Roger Herta and Kevin Holland for most wins in the calendar year before, 5. He's had most decision wins in UFC history. And he's tied with George St. Pierre for most wins in UFC welterweight history. So, I mean, besides, a lot of fight of the night and performance night bonuses too, he's just a guy that stays active and he's willing to fight anybody. So this is a great test for Rachmanov. I'm going to fuck this guy's name up the whole time. But basically, I don't think Neil's going to win this one, though. This guy seems too dangerous. We'll see what happens. I'm pulling for a guy like Magny because he's just got that blue-collar work ethic and want to take on anybody. But I'm going to go Shavavkat. That's what I'm going to call him. Shavavkat. And I'm going to say he does a 3-round TKO, ground and pound.
So it seems like Neil Magny gets wobbled in every single one of his fights, but not finished on the feet.
Yes.
But he definitely has weaknesses when it comes to jiu-jitsu. And this Rachmanov is dangerous everywhere. So I kind of see him rocking. He's super powerful. I see him rocking Magny on the feet and then taking him down and submitting him. I hope that doesn't happen because, like you said, I'm a fan of Neil. I'd love to see him, even if it's a boring decision, grind this one out and get the win. But I think he's going to get subbed pretty early, probably round 1.
All right. Now, how about you kick us off here? Maybe take the names here for these guys in the main event.
Well, I just know Cerukian and Gamra, so I didn't write down their first.
Okay, I'll take over. So Cerukian is 18-2, 7 KOs, 5 subs, 6 decision. He's had fight of the night before and a performance of the night twice. And Gamrat is 21-1, 7 KOs, 5 subs, 8 decisions. Performance of the night twice, fight of the night, and as I told you afterwards, he holds the record for the fastest Kamara in UFC history, 65 seconds over Jeremy Stevens.
No slouch, Jeremy Stevens. So
no, not at all. So who do you like first? Let me see. Let's take it off of you here.
I'm gonna go with Cerukian. I don't know if you remember this and I believe this is correct, Cerukian fought on one of Islam's cards. They had a fight in Dagestan or whatever years ago, and Islam won, but it was a close fight. So they were calling each other out or whatever. So I remember he dominated his fight and then called out Islam again. So I'm going to go with Cerukian. I think you're going to see a lot of ground and pound in this fight, and Gamrot might get beat up a bit. I'm going to say round 3 TKO. He's going to see a lot of wrestling, and when he's in positions, he'll unload on the ground. But
I'm going to agree with that. Anyone that can fight Islam and have that much of a war, it's got to be somebody who's really good. Because I'm kind of having this. I'm having a little bit of a flashback to this fight right now too. So, like we said, Gamrot is no slouch on a submission game, but my guess is he's not going to be getting a submission tonight. So if it's going on the feet, I'll go with Shakaran.
Cerukian.
Cerukian, thank you. So Cerukian. All right, that was one of the worst times I've ever had with names, and I've had some bad ones. Let's just move on. John Anik, I am not. Let's talk about this Bellator card because we're going to be at this thing live Friday night. I'm excited. Looks like the main card is going to kick off with Brandon Ward against Cassius Kanye.
Kane, I think.
Kane? Yeah.
Cassius Kane, I think.
Cassius Kane, 12-7, taking on Brendan Ward, who's 15-6. Brendan Ward, local guy from Connecticut, former guest of the show, Sean Shamrock was a big fan of his. And Brendan Ward has had some finishes in Bellator. He's going to be in his backyard. I'm going to say this is looking like a Brendan Ward win. You never know, but I'm going to say second round TKO.
Yeah, I think the hometown crowd is going to help Brennan, and I'm seeing him getting. I'll go with second round too. KO.
He likes fireworks.
Yeah,
we got Nurgamatov, who's 18-2 against Enrique Barzola. This is from the Bantamweight Grand Prix. So Barzola is 18-5. And Nurgamatov is 18-2. I like people with the last name Nurgamatov. Bantamweight Grand Prix. I'm gonna go Nurgamatov, and I'll say this one's gonna be a decision.
Yeah, I'm thinking the exact same thing, decision. But I think he's gonna dominate for the decision.
We got another Bantamweight Grand Prix. So a treat for us tonight. Leonardo Higo, who's 21-5. Versus Danny Sabatella, who's 12-1. I've actually seen this Sabatella kid a few times. I like his chances. I'm going to go Sabatella TKO, but round 3.
I think he's going to finish him early, like violent, spinning elbow or flying knee or something first round.
I like it. I hope so. I hope we're having some fireworks here. Now, main event. Gegard Mousasi, middleweight championship. He is 49 wins, 7 losses, 2 draws. He's taking on Johnny Edmond. I don't know much about Johnny Edmond, but I know he's 11-0. So he's definitely a guy who's a prospect. But I feel like we've seen Mousasi in this situation recently where we've seen a few prospects. And
Austin Vanderford, yeah.
Yes. And the problem is, say it again, 49-7-2. He's had a lot of fights, and he's not like he's an aging fighter where he's really hurting, and he's just like a ton of experience. I don't see it happening. No offense to Johnny Edmond. Maybe I don't know you well enough, but I'm going to go Gegard Mousasi. I'll give Edmond a little bit of benefit of the doubt and says he makes it to round 2, but he's getting finished. TKO.
Yeah, Gegard beat Mark Hunt, so he's definitely going to beat this guy. No disrespect. He just has all the experience in the world. So why he's fighting, I get why he's fighting these 11-0 guys because, he's already beaten the top guy. So
Right.
I think he's going to beat Colin. Or we saw Johnny Edmond beat Colin Huckbody the last time we saw Bellator in December, I believe.
Yeah.
I think he TKO'd somebody, or he TKO'd Colin. So, I mean, we've seen him before, but I just think Gegard is levels, like multiple levels above where he's at, and everyone else in the division for that matter. So, I think, Gegard's not going to rush into it. I think 3rd round TKO.
All right. And then talk to me. We got a little PFL action coming up this weekend.
Yeah, so I'll just tell you what fights piqued my interest. So Anthony Pettis is fighting Stevie Ray on this card. So
Nice.
we love I like both guys for sure.
Yeah.
This is actually a very good PFL card. So Chris Wade is fighting Kyle Bochniak. Bubba Jenkins is fighting Ronaldo Exon. Lance Palmer and Shaman Marias. I don't know Marias, but I know Lance Palmer. And then, one of my favorite fighters who flies under the radar, Brennan Loughnane. He has a late replacement fight against Ago Husik, who's a replacement for Boston Salmon. So I know we have a buddy who's a big fan of Boston Salmon. So,
interesting. A lot of former UFC guys on this card, too.
Right, yeah.
So should be fun. Hoping for another great performance from Anthony Pettis. All right. So we got a question posed to us yesterday by Randy Osga, fan of the show. Who are our top 5 fighters of the year so far? I'll go first and throw you my names out there. First guy that stood off right off the page. I didn't even look up at all. Kamara Hussman. Just consistently one of the best right now in the world. And, maybe I'm not judging this off about what's happening enough this year, but when I think of just some of the best fighters out there right now this year so far, Usman's always going to be at the top of my list. Charles Oliveira, he's just been exciting. He's having exciting fights and he's coming back. He's winning and he's in ideally the toughest and some of the biggest names in the world's division. So hard not to include him. Valentina Shevchenko. She just had, one of her closest calls, but she's still the most dominant female fighter in the world as far as I'm concerned in her weight class. And then I decided just to mix it up a little bit. I went with a Bellator guy. I'm going to mess up this name a little bit, but you know his story. Yaroslav Amosov. He's the champion, but he's actually over in Ukraine right now, and he's undefeated, and he hasn't lost. And I thought, you know what? Take some big balls to do what he's doing.
Yeah, respect to him.
Yeah, so good on him. He'll make my list. And out of recency bias, I decided to put down Yuri Prochazka there. He's a samurai, and he's your current light heavyweight champ. So, Prochazka, excuse me.
I am super surprised we have 0 of the same fighters. I'm super surprised by that, as we agree on a lot of things. So I'll give you my list. I have Brendan Allen on my list. So he has 2 wins this year. He's looked dominant in both his fights. So
I want to take a quick time out. You went clearly with people who were doing more stuff this year. I kind of just went with who are some of the best in the world. So fair enough. You did it the right way. So go ahead.
All right. And I put Paddy Pimblett. He only has 1 win this year, but he's, a giant star. And he has another fight, a tough fight against Jordan Levitt next month. I think the 23rd of July is the end of there's a big London card again.
I just tell you too, the only guy I second guessed myself on was when I went for the Bellator fighter. I was actually the other guy I was going to come. I was going in a complete different direction. I was going to go with Pimblett just because he's made such a name for himself this year.
Yeah, he's already such a big star, and he only has 2 fights. He was a star before he made it to the UFC. So then I went with Andrei Arlovsky. Because he has 2 wins this year, and the man's 43 years old. Like, the resurgence of his career, I just find amazing. So props to him. And I went with Kevin Holland. After having a rough 2021, I think he had 2 losses and 1 no contest from that headbutt in 2021. He's come back and he has 2 wins now. So good on him. And then I went with Tom Aspinall. He only has one win this year.
Yeah.
But it was the main event in the best card, I think, so far this year. And he dominated a former world champ in Volkov.
Mm-hmm.
And he has a chance to solidify a title shot next month at the end of the month against Curtis Blade. So he's having a great year too. So that's my list. I'm glad that we had some different stuff for a change. That was cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good question, Randy Oscar. That was a good question.
Shout out to Randy Oscar. All right, my friend. We're gonna wrap it up. I got a buddy of mine working on some plumbing here today.
Shout out to our boy,
yeah. Shout out to PBC. Check him out on my Facebook page. So why don't we tell people one more time what they got coming up?
All right, next week, huge international fight week, July 2nd, UFC 276, Adesanya versus Cannonier, and we'll get Volkov, Volkanovski, and Holloway 3. And then July 9th, UFC Fight Night, Dos Anjos versus Fiziev. And then July 16th, UFC Fight Night, Ortega versus Rodriguez.
Gonna be some fireworks. All right, folks. Thank you for tuning in to Combatcast. And I was gonna say we do the work because you don't have to, but that's it. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in.